can tell you that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
All right,
Sounds good.
we're good.
All right, we good?
Brother Bone, I screwed up, and Jake is going off a limb here for me. I'm doing next week's. So announce that.
No worries. Okay, so I'll just kind of read the instructions if that's okay. So it just says, ask one person on your team to explain employment at will and the exceptions. Make sure the group understands the exceptions. So I guess, what are the exceptions for employment at will?
The exceptions, wouldn't it be if you had a contract? Basically,
Yes.
because if you have a contract, then it doesn't apply because it's only if it doesn't really have a contract and you're just working for an indefinite period.
Yeah, so that was the breach of implied contract.
There was like public policy or something.
Yep, that's the other one. So, and that one's just terminating an employee for refusing to commit an unlawful act. So basically telling him to do something stupid and he won't do it. I guess it's like in those crime shows where they blackmail each other.
Yeah, Prison Break.
Yeah. Or have you guys seen How to Get Away with Murder?
No, is that good?
Yeah, it's a little, anyway.
They got planning something, Jake?
Well, they got some date. It's a CBS thing, so they try and put
Suits, man. Suits is all black belt.
Yes, Suits is anyways, so
I have a question. I understand that the employer can fire the employee at any time without a reason. So that's definitely different than what I understood about a normal employment. But it says that the employee can quit at any time. Isn't that, when is there a scenario where the employee can't quit?
Well, the employee, are you thinking like 2 weeks notice?
Well, I was just saying, is there ever a job where you're forced to keep working for an employer and you can't quit?
Not that I could think of.
Is it specifically talking about the 2 weeks?
Because like 2 weeks notice is more of like a courtesy thing is the way.
Yeah, you don't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like to help you get a recommendation to doing a 2 week notice. That way you keep good with the employer.
Because if you put it on your resume and then they go back
just reading here, like, it says at will, meaning the employee can quit at any time, and I was just thinking, like, what is not at will then? Like, isn't that just how it always is?
well, you could have a contract. So like for construction or anything else, let's say you had, I guess you could quit at any time, but you break your contract so you don't get paid, I guess. So let's say you violate that. I guess you could technically quit, but you just don't.
Yeah, I guess those basketball players are in contract to stay with the team for X amount of years, and they can't leave.
Yeah, if they leave, then they don't get their pay.
Yeah.
They don't get the full contract.
Well, I wonder if they have to owe. So let's say they played 2 years. Like, I don't know how this works. So let's say they get a contract for $1 million over 4 years, let's say, and they are 2 years into their contract and they quit. Does that mean they owe $500,000 to the company?
Maybe, probably.
I know some teams will like prorate it. So like they'll say like it's like $100 million over like 5 years, and then they play for 2 and get hurt. Then they'll pay them, but I mean that's not really like quitting.
But that's them getting hurt. That's not them quitting.
Yeah, quitting and stuff. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't quit, period, if I'm making that much.
Yeah. Anyways, the other ones are breach of implied covenant of good faith or fair dealing. If anyone remembers what that is at all. Basically, it says this could come into play where an employer unfairly tries to avoid doing what they agreed to do under the contract by terminating an employee. Okay, moving on. And then discrimination statuses. I think that's very clear. We've already gone over that before in this class. So you can't be fired based on like race, religion, and stuff like that. Okay, so I think we're going to talk about the actual case study. So it says, ask the team members to respond to each of the questions. Talk about Terry first, then ask the same questions about Phil. So this is under financial obligation. And it asks, what impact does Terry/Phil have on the company's bottom line? So I guess we'll just start off with Terry. So how does Terry affect the bottom line?
He takes away
Wasn't he
from
just
it.
hired because? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, he like doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, because they're wasting their time by trying to help him because he was hired because he was the teacher of the CEO and some other like management people. And so he's not really in the right position. And so they've had to waste their time and they could be putting somewhere else that could probably their bottom line because it's a labor cost.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the problem with hiring within family or friends. Like that, like 90% of jobs you get because you know someone, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, they're definitely favoring that person over other people that are way more qualified. So the actual business, it's almost like you're doing it to help someone out, but you're really not helping your business out.
Well, but it's like, when do you fire them? Like, when do you fire your brother or your sister? Or
Yeah.
you know, like, I don't know, the place where I work now, like, it's all family, and I'm the only person that's not part of the family, and like, I would fire half of them, but like, you can't, It's like they cost the guy money, but they just keep doing it because they're family.
No, it's true. That's a problem. My mom works for this doctor. She's just like a LVN, and the doctor's mom, so she's like this old lady. He employs her, but she's like losing it. Like she's kind of crazy, and she's always causing drama, and just like all the workers hate her, and they all complain to the doctor, but he won't fire her because it's his mom. Like,
Yeah.
like he wants to give her a job, but she's just like ruining his business.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's interesting. Like, I wonder how much like resources that's actually costing him, both in the company that you work for, Blake, and with the doctor. Like, I wonder if
My mom's
does it
sat down
really
with
have
him.
much effect on the bottom line compared to how much they're making, or
It's the turnover rate. That's what it is. Like, because multiple people have quit, and before they left, they told my mom, "I can't work with her anymore. Like, this lady's crazy," and they'll quit. So he's had to hire people. Like, their turnover rate's so high, and that costs money to fire and hire people.
Yeah.
So that's really where his mom's costing him a lot of money.
I think mine's a little different because it's all on a farm, and so it's like there will be things like that they'll use their farm pickups for to like run errands and stuff. And the company pays for gas and stuff, and they're like, well, that's way too much in gas.
So they're just
No.
using the resources.
They're using the farm's resources, and it's like any other employee, you could keep track of it, but because they're his brothers and stuff, it's like, where do you draw the line? Everyone knows how much the farm makes and what's coming in and stuff and what the expenses are. It's like everyone knows too much almost, and so they're like, well, you have money for this, like, and so it's kind of hard to say, hey, just like butt out because it's so like ingrained with the family and stuff. But
I wonder if it actually saves them some money from either hiring people, the turnover, if there was a turnover rate, people coming in and out. I wonder.
And you can almost get away with paying them less too, because they're your family. So I don't know.
That's interesting. So the next question goes, what obligations does the manager have to the company based on that information? So if Terry makes no contribution, so all the salary and benefits are pure cost, I guess they're just wanting to know, what is the job of the manager in that case?
Well, I think it's the job for the manager to bring the hammer down, wouldn't it? If I understand the question, right? Like, if the guy's not contributing or not performing like to his job description, to me, it's like cut and dry. You're either performing or you're not, And so it's like, if you're not, then that's an issue.
I would say that it's his responsibility to make sure that he gets rid of the non-contributor just because he needs to help make sure the company's being successful. And it's basically like getting rid of the fat. If he's not helping, why keep him there?
I guess the hard part is if I was in a manager's position where instead of, let's just say Terry, let's say it was, the CEO's son in that case, what do you do? Like, do you report it all, or do you just suck it up and
You pass them on to someone else. Like promotion.
promotion?
Get out of here, man.
But then wouldn't that just cost them more resources if they get a promotion and then they're just, not contributing anything?
Well, it makes me think about like Donald Trump's kids. Like,
yeah.
it's a huge empire. Like, if one of them screws everything up, like, do you say no? Because then that looks bad as a business. Like, but at the same time, it's hurting your business.
That was like, did you guys hear about the Lakers? I don't know, like how they had to fire one of their family members who owns it.
What?
And it was like, yeah, like super awkward. One of the owners, his son's in my class at school. And
the Lakers owner?
Yeah.
What school do you go to?
Oh no, it's his like child. I teach at a preschool.
Oh.
So one sister's like completely in charge, and one of the brothers he's been horrible to the company, and they're like, we don't know what he's doing. He's ridiculous. So they had to fire him from his job, but he's still part owner, and they were like, it was so awkward and so uncomfortable. But they were like, we had to for the organizations. I'm like, ooh. So I guess it has to be done, but it's really weird.
Yeah, that would be awkward. I don't even know what I'd do in that case. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Let me get back to where I was at. Okay, so now I guess we need to talk about Phil. So how does Phil affect the company's bottom line then?
I think he helps a little bit, takes away some because he's not a full contributor. So he kind of helps but doesn't help at the same time because part of the cost of him not contributing his full abilities, he can't really because he was not in a position to because he was a call center manager, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Or something. And so it doesn't really do anything, like it doesn't really help necessarily, like takes away just because he helps some, but he does take away some too.
Didn't Phil like argue with the person? Or like
Oh yeah, with the CEO
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
he like
The
argued
manager
with
didn't
Yeah.
the manager's boss not like him? They wanted him to get rid of him.
He'd like argue, and then he got sick and had like disability and stuff.
That would take away from the bottom line.
You can't fire someone that's sick. How do you
No,
fire
but-
someone that has cancer? Like, sorry, you have cancer, you're fired.
But still, like having an employee, if they're paying him the whole time he's sick,
Well, yeah.
that takes away from the bottom line. I'm not meaning that it's a bad thing to do that because obviously he can't really choose to be sick, but it does cause the company to financially have.
Michaela's ruthless.
All right, people that have cancer, we know how this is gonna work now.
You have cancer, you're fired. Get out of here.
Let's see here. Oh, so then the other question is, what obligations does the manager have based on the company for Phil? I think that kind of goes along the same lines, but could be different. But I think they're basically the same for the most part, unless anyone else has any idea about that. Okay, we'll move on then. So legal obligation, then it goes, based on what we've learned about employment at will and exceptions, what legal obligations could the manager have to Terry and Phil?
Didn't they have employment contracts? So you'd have to follow those contracts,
Mhm.
the terms of those contracts, as far as how he goes about the termination process if he decides to terminate them.
Mhm. Yeah, so that one was for Terry, and then for Phil, it says it's different. I guess a couple things that it mentions here is for Terry, there's the possible age discrimination. And then for Phil, it says possibility of disability discrimination. So, okay, we'll move on. Ethical obligations, it goes, what ethical obligations does the manager have to Terry or Phil?
Could you just say that is it unethical to fire sick people? Not even super kid, but like, is it like? I mean, could that be an ethical decision? Like, well, the dude needs health care, and if you fire him, then
I think so.
he doesn't have it.
I think that's ethical. Just because didn't he just came back recently, didn't he, from his sick leave, like after
Yeah.
recovering? So it's not. Oh yeah, I could see that being a.
But it totally hurts your business. Well, it's like pregnancy. Like, can you fire someone for being pregnant? I mean, they're going to be out of work for like weeks on end, you know? And that's going to cost your company the time that you're not there and you have to pay for it. Like,
Well, I know that some companies they're not legally obligated to pay women when they're pregnant.
they're like maternity leave.
Yeah,
and stuff.
they're not obligated to pay for that, but they are obligated to pay, or not to pay, but to give them leave without firing them, if that makes sense. So, but it's unpaid leave, and it's like I think the max was like 4 months afterwards, but most people won't use that full term.
Yeah.
So, because they'll come back and want to get paid. So, let's see here. And then it goes, what ethical obligations does the manager have to the company?
Make money. Ethical
Yeah.
things. Like, get the best
Yeah, I'd say-
people working.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make the highest profit that they can.
Make the most.
I'd
Have
say
the right
putting
people in the right positions.
I guess something that comes to mind is like an honest day's work. You know, as a manager, you want to make sure that everyone in the company is doing an honest day's worth of work. So that way, you know, whoever, you know, let's say the CEO had to put his own money or neck on the line, you know, like I feel like it's ethically wrong for someone just to slack just because they can, you know, not that it's completely horrible and it happens all the time, but I think that's an ethical obligation that a manager has to a company. And, you know, that money's not just being taken from people. You know?
I think too, like maintaining good employee relationships, because they're a manager, so they're over people, so they're kind of like a little bit of an image of the other people above them of the company. So making sure that they maintain good relationships with their employees.
Yeah, in fact, that's what the next one is too, is to other employees, what obligations does the manager have? I think that goes right with it as well. And then I guess what ethical obligations does the manager have to herself? I think it's kind of a weird question.
I think her employees, I think we kind of talked about her employees reflect herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like your team, you know, if you can't perform as a team, like I would get ticked if you were constantly the lowest department or whatever of performance, like I would want to get different people. because that's just hurting you if you don't have. I guess maybe not. If you don't have good people working under you, like it doesn't. It shows that you're not a very good leader.
Yeah, I agree. Would terminating people though lower the morale of the entire company as a whole though? You think?
I don't think so if it's justified. Like if it's not, I mean, it's different if it's like making an example of someone or like that kind of thing. But if there's evidence and they have proof and they go about it in a way that's not demeaning, I feel like wouldn't do that because people will be more understanding.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Okay, we're going to transition into the analysis of the HR practices of the company. So the first question to ask is, how well is the company doing with its HR practices, generally speaking?
Well, I know they have that PIP program. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Like personal improvement plan or whatever. And it's not really there to actually help them improve. So that's obviously not a very good thing. It's more there so that they can have time to, and more of a reason to terminate people. And so I feel like that could definitely be changed and adjusted, especially to like the plan we kind of talked about before with what they said in the reading for like the TSA section, how we learned about the discipline thing. It can kind of go about that where it's a better thing and they actually have a chance to improve, I feel like, whereas right now they don't really.
Well, what is it? They had that if you were at the company for more than 3 years and didn't get a promotion, you got fired. Like, I thought that was kind of dumb.
Yeah, I thought that was stupid. I was like, what?
I was like, that's pretty lame. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, the HR practices are kind of poor, but
Yeah,
that's just me. But I don't know if anyone else has.
I'd agree. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of transitioning, how does the company hire?
Well, they keep
Each department
people that they
do it differently.
go ahead.
Or that manager that she talked about, she hired differently than like the rest of the company.
Yeah, she did differently.
I don't know if there's really like a uniform way that they do it.
And they keep the people from the companies they acquire too, because they have this no fire policy or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just there really is no, like as Blake said, there's really no specific hiring practice. It's just kind of like hire people however you want. I mean, obviously they brought on Terry. There was really no process with that other than he just knew the guy. And then, you know, even she hires on people that are more like her. On who she prefers younger people, I think is what it said. Younger people out of just out of college and determined, I guess. Trying to think, how do they manage people and give them feedback? That's kind of with the PIPs. And then do the employees get a clear picture from the company on how they are performing?
Kind of. Don't they do the review every 6 months or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's a good way to give the employees a clear picture?
I don't think it is. I think you could say that it's, yeah, I think it's too much time almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And isn't it based a lot on numbers?
Yeah,
Too, and not necessarily. So I feel like they could give more feedback, not just based on the number they give, but like their actions and their work ethic and stuff like that. I feel like you give feedback that way instead of just this number.
Oh, I agree. I think the numbers don't always represent how someone is performing necessarily, even though ironic as that sounds, I think maybe sitting down on maybe processes on how they're doing things to see on how they can actually improve, so to speak, that could essentially lead to improving their numbers too, rather than just focusing on your numbers aren't good, maybe contribute to things that are actually making their numbers bad, if that makes sense.
Isn't that like what we do with how we rate these discussions? We just give a number.
Yeah. Stupid class. Come on. Not even following their own stuff. Just kidding.
You're a 10, Jake.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a lot of questions left. We're going to try and fly through this. Do you think this manager could make good decisions about two individuals, or does she seem to be influenced by the biases that will be hard to overcome?
Biases.
Yeah, I think so too.
Biases all the way.
The whole thing was on biases on Terry and Phil. So
Especially the pressure that upper management has. Like, one person they want to get rid of, the other person they're like, are you sure you want to? Because, yeah, so.
I feel like she cares too much, if that makes sense, about what the upper management thinks. And she's not doing what's right. Even though I would totally probably do the same thing, but I think that's what she's doing. But because she did move up pretty fast and everything. So I think it's just kind of, she's very focused on what upper management wants, number, et cetera, versus, I don't know. That's just me though. Okay, it says the final decision. Ask each member in your group to commit to a decision about what the manager should do in respect to Phil and Terry. And we're talking about Terry first. So it goes, what alternatives are there to firing Terry? Will firing Terry send a message? Are there creative options that might work?
I've thought about how they can just tell them the truth, like let them know that, listen, you weren't the most qualified person for the position, but we want you to stay here. Like, we don't want to have to fire you. So you need to do X, Y, Z to become the most qualified person for this position. Like, let him know that he really isn't the most, qualified and the best, but that's beside the point. He's already working there, and that if he improves, they'll keep him. If he continues to work the same way, then they'll fire him. So ultimately, it'll be his decision.
I think they could give him like a paid day off too, to think about, does he really like where he's at? And what? I'm just saying, that way he can evaluate, do I really care about
I'm getting
my work,
deja vu here. I'm just kidding. That's a good idea, Michaela. Paid day off. Paid month off.
Paid month off.
Do you think Terry should be fired then in the end, or do you think that they should just keep him on?
Maybe they can find him a different position in the company because he's not good at what he's doing right now. But maybe he'd be good somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea. Seeing if he wants a different position within the company, which might be better suited for him. That's actually not a bad idea. What about everyone else? What's their final decision?
I would say the same thing as Kara, just try and find something better for him. And like Jake said, keep him on. I think he could still be valuable somewhere else.
Yeah, I think we can combine mine and Michaela's. So let him know he has an option, give him the day off, and then see if he comes back working harder or he kind of continues to do the same thing.
Make sure you're paid for the day off.
Now we're going to talk about Phil. So same things, I guess. Should we fire Phil? Should we keep him on? What messages would it send? Are there any other creative options for Phil?
Fire him.
Why?
He has cancer. No, I just don't think. I mean, even though I think that the policy is done that the company has, that if you don't get promoted in 3 years, like, I think just the amount of time that he's taken off. What is it? It said for Phil, in terms of performance, or even worse than the old Phil, in terms of his performance was so poor. Like, just based on performance level, even.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been sick a lot and missed a ton of work. Like, I think you should just let him go.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you guys on that one.
Yeah, because if
Poor
he
Phil.
hasn't improved before and he's getting worse, then, and like he already wasn't, you have proof that he wasn't really a good contributor before he was sick.
I think
It's
management
not
might
getting
beat
any
themselves
better.
up about not firing him earlier because, like Michaela said, even if he wasn't contributing before, it just looks like they're targeting him because he's sick now. Like, it would have been better, like, as he's getting worse, if they fire him, I'm pretty sure that's like a lawsuit, Someone gets cancer and you fire him. I don't know. I guess if they had enough proof that he wasn't working before.
Yeah, I think that's right on the money. I think they should have fired him earlier, but I think it's kind of too late now, kind of a thing. But I mean, could you give him some notice? I wonder if, like, legally, could they give him some sort of notice? I guess I don't really know the answer to that question. Like, there has to be some sort of benefits that they could give him while he's sick,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
pay him salary. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
because like when someone
As
gets
far as
hurt,
like his severance,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
because that could help prevent a lawsuit too. Because if they're showing like they still care about him, but it's still less costly for them to pay the severance and package with like healthcare than have it continue going on.
Yeah, and I don't think that violates any sort of discrimination either, any of the types of contracts either. So I would think that would be okay. You may not like it, but I don't think you can sue. So we've come to the consensus that Phil's getting fired, or some sort of severance package or something, but he's gone. Last thing is we're going to read the rest of the story. So we're gonna read dismissing employees part 2, case of yeah. So I'll just read it, I guess, and see what happens. And the password for it is capital TTCB.
There's a password for it?
That's what it says. It says
I think I've already read it.
it's available for everyone to read by giving your group the password TTCB. Give everyone.
Where do we go though for it?
I don't know. Good question.
Why not just
Isn't it the one that's the
kid?
dismissing employees part 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I've already read that.
I read it too.
All right. Well, if we've already read it, then we don't have to take the time.
I want to be like last time where I didn't read it and everybody,
It's on like the main page.
pretty much everybody.
Oh yeah, there's no password.
Okay. Cool.
TV.
Let's see here. Did you guys read it at all? Because I didn't read it, to be honest.
They give Terry a 2.5, and he was very scared about it. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
They
That's-
helped Terry. I know they helped Terry by like not doing a PIAP. I respect you more than doing that, and so we'll help you try to find a position elsewhere in the company. And then, if we can't find one, then something like that. But I don't think they were able to find one, so he ended up leaving the company, and then he ended up, I think, with an engineering company.
Mhm.
So
Let's see.
Phil, they just kept him on, I think, and then he ended up
They
getting
hired
sick
someone
again.
to replace him when he was sick,
Yeah,
and then when then he came back, and then he was just like an extra guy.
and then he got sick again, and
He
didn't
got a
passed
3.0 in his
away.
reviews.
Come on, Phil just needs to kill off.
Didn't he transfer to a different department though? Eventually, like the international one.
Oh yeah.
They're still friends though, so it all worked out. But then he died.
Then he died.
Jeez, Jake.
He died not too long after that. Well, see, there you go. He
Yeah, right there.
So I thought you were joking about that. I literally just said he died not too long after that. Like,
No, he really died.
he really died. Well, now I feel horrible. Oh man. Well, let's hope I don't say that about anyone else because they might die too. Oh gosh, that was funny. Okay, let me get back to the discussion. So, do you guys agree that they did the right thing with that, or no?
I think the way they handled Terry and Phil was good. Yeah,
For
because
Phil, yeah.
I feel like Phil had prevented a lawsuit, and because he had they kept on. They already had a replacement, so it kind of helped. And then, they didn't have the cost and fear of having a lawsuit from him. But with Terry, it helped keep the respect, and they didn't have issues with upper management because she handled it in a respectful way and didn't try to put him down, but wanted him to be able, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm not getting this across, but wanted to help him be able to progress, which he couldn't where he was at, kind of a thing.
Right.
Be happy. So.
What did she do that wasn't effective in either case? What do you think she could have done better in the actual case that we just read?
I think because she didn't set a specific timeline for finding a position for Terry in the company. I think if they did that, even if it was set at 3 months, it's reasonable enough time to look around and have positions open and be filled and stuff. I feel like that could have been better instead of have this open-ended. Because you said 3 months, but it wasn't a definite date. She didn't set a date, so.
Yeah, I think she could have handled Terry a little bit better. I think Phil, she was obviously a good job. I mean, I don't think it could have ended up any better other than him maybe living, but I guess him dying saved the money. So, but with Terry, I think that I think she could have done, like you said, a better job with actually maybe finding, actually caring. I feel like she just. It's like, all right, here's your options, Terry. Now we don't really care what you do because we don't really care about you. Type of a thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, she was. I don't know. It was a good thing, I guess, in some ways, but she was just comparing him to all the other people who weren't sick, because obviously they're gonna work better.
Yeah. Final questions, I guess. What can we learn from this case about decisions and termination?
It's not always easy.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Try to be as respectful as you can. Don't
If someone
try
starts getting sick, fire them in the beginning, not when they have terminal cancer.
No hope that they die. I think you have to, before you terminate someone, you got to look at all the costs that can be associated with that. is it costing you more to have them on, or is it better to terminate them and face, I guess, complications is one, but then after you've made a decision to terminate them, I think you need to reevaluate on the best way to do it, so to speak. I think it would take a long time to, like Phil's case, that's a hard decision to make. I don't feel like you can make that within even just a few weeks. I feel like you need probably at least a month to figure out a plan to somehow either terminate them or move them to a different section, or, I guess those creative options that could work. Let's see here. All right, last question. What have you guys learned, and how could it be applied in a future situation?
I think kind of like what you said, like that you have to look at the big picture. I don't think you can just make like a snap decision based off of what the information that you have right now. Like I think you have to look at like the employee situation and the company situation and be able to make the best decision based off of everything and the impact that it has.
I think you also need to keep in mind your own standards and what you think is like going to help the employees you're considering. Like, she didn't really think the PIP was very good, and so she kept her standard and was like, Tara, I don't want to put you on one of these. I don't think it's very good. Like, she was honest and she kept her own, and I think in future situations we need to be able to do that and be able to stand next to what we think would be more respectful to the employees.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely, yeah. Well, I think that's it. So I guess we can stop the broadcast.
That was a 10.
For sure.
Oh, 10. They didn't ask for
I don't
rating.
care. That was a 10.